Okay, look, I know this seems like some sort of super gay homoerotic thing. I'm saying it's not gay, and look, I know it ain't exactly straight depending on who you ask, but like, I can assure you that in my case, I really don't think it is. So, yeah. I guess I'll let you be the judge of that, huh? Alrighty, well, let's just jump into it. Like most people, I used to be completely averse to ASMR, okay? I literally avoided it like it was the plague. And the reason for that was because I thought that a lot of it was like super freaking freaky. And to be fair, you know, a lot of it definitely is. Not most of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is definitely quite freaky. And I feel like there is a reason why so many people seem to feel so negatively toward it. They think it is effectively just like an ERP thing. And to be fair, a lot of times it definitely can be. Okay? Now look, I will admit, okay, even during this time when I was super averse to ASMR, I had definitely still heard it before. I had heard of it, I had listened to it, and I can assure you that I definitely liked it. Okay, but I still nevertheless avoided it. I avoided it for basically all of my teen years out of fear that it would make me look like some sort of a creep or a weirdo or a degenerate or a gooner or something. And I'm not gonna lie, okay, no disrespect to anyone who does listen to ASMR, alright? But I still kind of have that sort of thought in my head. A lot of people who listen to ASMR, specifically a lot of the weird, like, mommy ASMR stuff, like, I'm sorry, but if you listen to that, like, I can't look at you and be 100% certain that I won't make at least a tiny accusation toward you. Because, like, it's kind of weird, bro, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, whatever, okay? Now, I suppose I should give a little bit of context, because I know that not everyone watching this video knows who I am. So I want to say that in a lot of my other videos, there's a pretty common theme going on. There's a pretty common diagnosis, if you will, as to why my life freaking sucks and why I'm so emo all the time. And basically, what it always boils down to is the fact that throughout my entire life, I've always been pretty freaking lonely, dude. I've been rather touch-starved, which I get is a bit of like a woke buzzword now, but I feel like it is a real thing, okay? In my case, I feel like it is just affection in general starved, affection starved. In my personal situation, in my boots, okay, this has been a big motive for a lot of things going wrong in my life and a lot of very particular things that, let's just say, are not exactly appropriate to be talking about with your family. So I'm not really going to get too deep into them in this video, okay? If you're more interested, click on my channel and watch my other stuff. This is not the place, okay? But yes, okay, I was very, very lonely for basically my entire life. I was affection starved. Basically, any minor amounts of affection would basically be enough to freaking kill me on the spot. And for most of my childhood and teen years, I basically just tried to ignore that fact. I tried to ignore that I was lonely and that I wanted affection from people and stuff like that, which, whoop-de-doo, is not exactly the most healthy thing you could do for yourself, if I'm being entirely honest, but I don't think it really takes a genius to tell you that. So though I was a bit of an idiot growing up, I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't until I started going to college when my loneliness really started to creep up to me, and by that point, it was just so painful, completely unbearable, and it was awful, dude. It was terrible! Oh my gosh! I desperately just wanted someone to be close with me. I wanted someone to freaking touch me. I wanted somebody to make me feel like I was wanted in some particular way. And I get that's not exactly a unique feeling. I know a lot of people go through that, but in my particular case, it was a bit elevated, let's just say that, amplified rather. Needless to say, I felt like super depressed about it, okay? And I wanted some sort of way to cope, okay? And you know, let's be honest, what ways are there to really cope with loneliness without just getting with somebody? You get what I mean? And I don't even just mean that in the strictly like romantic sense. I just mean like, how can you cope with being alone if you don't meet somebody? If you don't get out of your comfort zone and talk to somebody? I mean, really, you can't, okay? So in my case, what could I do, all right? In numerous other videos that I've made, I've talked about my various other coping strategies. So for example, there were plushies, there was romantic literature like Yuri of all things, and depending on how you look at it, you could also say that something as heinous as vor was technically also a coping strategy for me. But I don't really know if I can classify that as like an actual thing because that happened when I was still a little kid. So let's not get into that. Really though, none of this stuff was enough, okay? No coping strategy was enough to subdue this urge of mine to really just connect with somebody. You get what I mean? I needed a real person, people. I mean, like, a lot of these, like, things, a lot of these coping strategies, they might have helped, like, a tiny bit, okay? But ultimately, they would always make me feel the exact same way. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to do anything that would make me look like a degenerate. And that's exactly what all these things kind of did for me, in a sense. I've mostly gotten over that sort of feeling in terms of those things, minus the voy, of course. But, you know, here's the thing, though. Like, a lot of these different things, like, they're kind of loser activities, like, I'm not gonna lie, in a general sense, okay? Or at least, that's how society tends to view them. So it's not something I can be super open about with my people. You get me? And as time went by, okay, these coping strategies, they just weren't doing the job, okay? They just weren't doing me any justice. So I got really desperate. And one fateful day, I popped in the old earbuds, searched for something on the old YouTube, and gave it a whirl. Now, what did I give a whirl, you may be asking? Well, it was ASMR, okay? Yes, I decided to just give it a second shot, okay? The first ASMR I really got into and listened to regularly was simply just breathing sounds. I know that sounds kind of weird, okay, but really, this was like a massive turning point for me. And I want to say that starting out, I would specifically only listen to ASMR with, like, girls in them, okay? Specifically, sounds of girls breathing, okay? That was, like, my main thing. And I guess my thought process behind it was like, okay, look, dude, if I'm gonna do this, if I'm gonna listen to ASMR, let's at least, like, not make it weird and icky, aka freaking gay. Wouldn't want to be called some sort of queer now, would we? Kidding, of course. So, you know, I went to bed, I grabbed a blanket, and went out to dreamland. And I'll tell you what, dude, I slept like a freaking rock. Holy crap, in more ways than one. Yes, dude, we were getting a bit of action downstairs, but that's besides the point, okay? To be completely honest with you, that was the closest I had ever felt to feeling like I was actually being with another person up to that point. And honestly, it's a very satisfying feeling, okay? And you know, look, I know lots of people think ASMR is like really weird, but dude, I'm sorry, but it definitely does feel good if you just lean into it a little bit, okay? If you go into it thinking this is so freaking weird and gross and weird and disgusting and ew, yucky, then like, yeah, dude, you're gonna freaking hate it, okay? But that goes for like a lot of freaking things, dude, okay? If you actively try to dislike it, you're going to dislike it. If you try to just give it a shot, be a little bit open-minded, there's a chance that you might realize you may or may not have a thing for it. But yeah, almost every night I'd listen to the same breathing ASMR for like a month or so, probably even longer. And to be honest with you, I felt really good about myself. Eventually, I was kind of looking for something else. I was looking for something a little bit better, a little more exotic, if you will. And I decided that I'd expand my palette a little bit. Now, not femboys yet, okay? But we'll get to that, so hold your horses, strap in, because stuff is about to get real in a moment. I started listening to more sort of like roleplay stuff, if you will, okay? Still with strictly just women, female voice actors. I would like to say, though, I have to preface that it was nothing weird, okay? The stuff I liked, the main stuff I liked was strictly platonic, too. Okay? It was always something along the lines of like, oh, cuddling with your best friend or something like that, okay? To be honest with you, like, a lot of like the friends to lovers stuff was kind of weird to me, and I didn't really like this stuff at all. It made me feel kind of like a loser. To be fair, I mean, I was listening to ASMR, so whether or not that really changes anything, I don't really know. I really didn't like the feeling of being in a romantic relationship with a girl, like, at all, okay? Not to say I'm gay. I guess I just thought girls were cute, and I didn't really want to, like, do anything else to them, so I didn't want that sort of implication that something else could potentially happen. You get what I mean? But yeah, you know, that role-playing stuff, like the role-playing ASMR was also definitely really great to me as well. But to be honest, like, it was really hard to find that specific setting, so I ran out of material pretty quickly. There were like a few select videos I actually remember listening to on YouTube, but beyond that, like, I could not find anything. Now, my friends, with this sense of scarcity, this leads to the moment we've all been waiting for. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'd know that I have a very interesting, fascinating relationship with a group known as femboys. I made a couple of videos talking about femboys, probably a few more depending on how we're keeping count. I made a video called I Almost Became a Femboy, keyword almost because it didn't happen, by the way, and it basically doesn't even count. I talked a lot about my fascination with femboys and how I said that they were really, really cute and how I low-key wanted to be one. But only low-key though, okay? So, don't get it twisted. I even made a sequel called Why I Didn't Become a Femboy, which is more of a deluxe edition of the first one, where I kind of just clear the air and just really go into depth instead of vague posting like I did in the first video. And okay, look, dude, don't hear what I'm not saying. saying, alright, but as much as I really don't want to admit it all the time and bring it up with all my friends and family, I do like femboys, okay? Now, like how, you may be asking, okay? I think they're adorable. And if I had the chance, honestly, I'd probably want to be cuddled to death by a femboy. Hashtag platonic, hashtag straight, hashtag friendship. You get the picture, okay? Hashtag literally anything not gay. Now, this leads us to the next key plot point in our little story here, okay? I had the brilliant idea to try out something new. Not exactly new per se. I had definitely heard femboy ASMR before, but to be honest with you, I thought it was hashtag evil, so I kind of just avoided it. Actually, funnily enough, I should mention this, but there actually was a time, maybe like 2 months ago, when I was actually considering making my own femboy ASMR. Food for thought. Not gonna elaborate further on that. Maybe that deserves its own video sometime in the future. But today's not the day. But yeah, I decided, femboy ASMR, I decided to give it a second try. Again, I started out with just simple breathing sounds. That's really all I could handle, okay? Breathing sounds were kind of like my gateway ASMR. So it's like, you gotta start with the small stuff before you work on the real hard stuff that'll give you the real buzz. You get what I'm saying? So I'm listening to something. I pick out something, and just about 30 seconds in to listening to a femboy breathing in my ear, and what the heck, dude? Oh my gosh, dude, it was way better than with a girl, bro. I don't even know why. No idea why whatsoever. It just felt so much nicer, okay? And again, I really only liked to imagine that it was with someone that I was just friends with, because it made me feel safer, I guess. But then again, I don't really know. This time around, I started to feel slightly different in that regard, okay? And I suppose I should give some context as to what I mean by that. I would like to say that I identify as asexual, and I mention this in basically almost every single video I make, but I still feel like it's important to mention. That way people don't really get the wrong idea about it, okay? I know there are plenty of people who probably don't want to believe that, but I mean, it's whatever. That's how I feel about myself, and I'd like to continue to believe that about myself. I'm not exactly sure if I'm aromantic, but I will say that one thing is for sure. I definitely want some sort of actual relationship with somebody, okay? A committed relationship. I've done plenty of research on this topic, by the way, before you type in the comments telling me that I need X, Y, or Z. I think what I want is something called a queer platonic relationship, and I know that is a bit of a woke buzzword, so if you don't know what that is, it's basically just like a friendship plus. That's the best way I can put it. It's basically a committed relationship where you and another person prioritize each other like you would in a romantic relationship, but you don't have all the same expectations that you would in a romantic one. You don't gotta wear a ring, you don't gotta have sex, and you definitely don't gotta participate in sweaty and or sloppy makeout sessions. So for me, that's definitely a plus, okay? That might not be like the best definition for a queer platonic relationship, but it's very hard to describe in a meaningful way. So however you define it, I think that is just like what I want, okay? Whatever it is. Listening to femboy ASMR made me realize just how much better it would be to have that sort of relationship with a guy instead of a girl. Not to say I wouldn't have a relationship like that with a girl, but like, you know what I mean. I feel like I sort of developed a sort of preference, leaning more towards guys. And to be honest, like, I don't really know. It sounds weird. Like, I know it sounds weird, but it just feels right. You get what I mean? I just get along better with guys, so like, why not? You get what I mean? And I still definitely feel that way today too, by the way. Back then, I listened to plenty of femboy ASMR. I thought it was super awesome, opossum. And I mean, even today, I still kind of listen to it occasionally. But it's not really like that big of a pastime for me, because it's very hard to find femboy ASMR that isn't strictly romantic. Again, that stuff is just like really weird to me. I mean, I don't know, man. I ain't exactly trying to rub my hands up and down someone's body seductive style or whatever. I kind of just want to cuddle with my homeboy. And is that really like too much to ask for? Like, I don't really know, dude. But yeah, I mean, there is a sort of like a sense of scarcity and novelty behind it. So I really don't like listen to it a whole lot. I feel like if there were more of it, then I probably would. But it's just too difficult, dude. It's too freaking difficult. But yeah, I've been ranting too much in this video, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. In conclusion, did femboy ASMR make me gay? Not sure, honestly. I know it's not inherently straight to want to cuddle with dudes. However, I want to ask, like, is it inherently gay to want to cuddle with dudes? I mean, like, let's be honest. If I'm not actively trying to stick my wiener in a dude's bumhole, like, am I really gay? Like, I don't really know. It's up for viewer interpretation, right? Food for thought, folks. Moral of the story, if you're ever feeling down in the dumps, there is always something out there to help you, whether it be ASMR or I don't know, something else. There is always something that you can do to help you get out of that sort of loneliness trap. Okay? Pun not intended, by the way. So yeah, that's probably like the best like advice I can actually come up with. I mean, I really can't think of anything off the top of my head. So yeah, I'm gonna finish it there. If you made it this far in the video, I want to say that I have a Discord server now. So if that interests you, the link is in the description. Come on in. The water is fine. Additionally, take a look-see here. We got some Gatsu Finglo fan art. This stuff is the bomb, as per usual, dude. I freaking love this stuff. I hope you love it as much as I do, too. Last but not least, I want to mention that I have a channel membership now. It's $4.99 a month. No pressure. I'm just throwing it out there if you feel like you really want to support me. If this is the first video you've seen by me, definitely do not feel like you are obligated to pay me any money. Believe me, I'll find a way. I will manage, believe it or not. So yeah, not forcing you. Just saying, okay? Good puppy. But yeah, thank you very kindly for embarking on this little journey with me, and I suppose I shall see y'all in the next one. Bye! I don't know, dude. It's like, I just want to, like, lay in bed and cuddle with dudes, man. Okay.